Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about tariffs. Let's talk about tariffs. Because Trump is doing the tariffs. So, I don't know nothing about tariffs. I don't know nothing about the economy. I don't know nothing about finances. I don't know nothing about money. I don't know nothing. I'm an idiot, right? I'm an idiot. But I have a feeling, from my limited understanding about tariffs, Trump is trying to do something, which isn't going to work in my personal opinion, but he's trying. And what it feels like he's trying to do is bring back quote unquote jobs to the United States, right? He's trying to bring back manufacturing. He's trying to, he's trying to restart that whole industry by essentially implementing tariffs so that companies, are forced to try and make things in the Estados Unidos, right? In the United States. But the problem I think he's going to run into is that when those jobs, if those jobs ever do come back, who's going to work them? Especially if you have this really aggressive immigration policy. You have this really aggressive ICE thing, right? You're trying to kick out all the illegal immigrants, all the quote unquote aliens, whatever they're doing. Who's going to work these quote unquote menial jobs? Because one of the benefits of, the globalization is that you have these countries like China that have these industries, have these factories where people are working for a nominal rate, not the best salary in the world. It's quite, monotonous work, but they're willing to do that because that society is different and the way they treat work is different. I'm just thinking in the Western Hemisphere, especially Europe, especially North America, from my time on the internet, from my time on social media, from my time just speaking to people, I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling people don't really want to work. I get the feeling people, if they could not work and just sit on their ass every day, they would. Like they're tired. Whether it's through COVID, whether it's because of the, dog eat dog world, knife fight, existence that is employment, whatever. I don't know what it is, but I feel like people are tired of working. Legitimately tired. They don't want to do it. So they're looking for any excuse, any exit. Whether it's a 5 minutes of fame because they went viral for something they did on the street, whether it's doing sex work like OnlyFans and shit, whether it's trying to make content, like everyone's trying something. Everyone's just trying to escape having to work. I don't really get the feeling people want to work. So if that's the case, and obviously on social media, we get inundated with like these like amazing stories of these streamers and these content creators are making loads of money and they've got these great houses and cars and bang, So it's making everybody think that everybody can do that, which is not true. It's sort of like, it's sort of like similar to what's happening on OnlyFans. For all the girls that are like, for all the Amorafs of the world, for all of the, whoever else, I can't think of OnlyFans girl in my head, but for all of the Amorafs out there, there's definitely a girl who's like spreading everything, showing everything, filming everything in excessive detail, really great cinematography, great fucking scenes, and she's probably not even getting $100 a month. Actually, big up, what's her name? Big up, Mama Certi. Mama Certi, the infamous, personality on UK social media. I saw a video of Mama Certi on Twitter squirting. Like, and that was like a sample of something she's saying on OnlyFans. Like full frontal, no censorship, nothing. I saw a full image of Mama Certi squirting on her bed somewhere on social media. I was like, shit, all right, cool. And she's allegedly got OnlyFans. I think I saw her share a screen grab and it's like, oh yeah, I'm happy I did 130 a month now, dollars, And it's like, whoa, there are people on OnlyFans right now, like showing everything for $100. So it proved to me that people are really trying to get out of working. They don't want to do it. So if you bring back these jobs to America, if you restart the manufacturing jobs, whatever they are, who's going to work these jobs? Because they're not going to be willing to work these jobs for minimum wage or less than minimum wage. They're going to expect like good salaries. And if they expect good salaries, then surely the prices, the salaries will end up getting offset onto the customers because you end up having to raise the prices of the products or service or whatever that you're doing. So I have a feeling it ain't going to work. But I understand why he's trying to do so. But I just have a feeling nowadays, more so than ever, there's probably a strong argument for introducing stuff like universal basic income. Because I don't really think people want to work, man. I think you're better off introducing universal basic income, giving people like a base of like, even if it's $900 a month, which ain't gonna be enough for a lot of people to live on when you include rent and shit. But it also gives people the onus and to pursue part-time employment in something that they actually care about, or something that they're actually good at, whatever. That might be the way to go. And then have the other high flyers go for the jobs they want to go for. Because the people that actually want to work will always work. But I think more and more, as the years go by, more and more people don't want to work like a, what's that thing called? Is it a bullshit job, right? Big up the author, I forgot his name. He passed away recently. He wrote this amazing, book on bullshit jobs. And obviously with the advent and push towards fucking AI and shit, it might be the only way to go forward, because I just don't see the regular American person or the regular person in Europe being okay with working for £10 an hour making iPhone cases. I just don't see it. They're gonna, and I don't even think they get £10 an hour in China. They might even get less than that. But I don't think the regular European person, the regular American person, is going to be happy making key rings for like £6 an hour, £4 an hour. They're not going to be happy with it. So something's going to have to give, something's going to have to give. But I could be wrong. Let's read the article here, courtesy of BBC. It says Trump's game of chicken over tariffs leaves the world guessing. A day before Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs are scheduled to kick in the United States president appears to be locked in a high-stakes game of chicken. Some nations labeled worst offenders are scrambling to make nice with the White House to end the game before it reaches potentially devastating climax. China, in contrast, is playing a different game, one of retaliation. Big up President Xi. Big up I Show Speed. Big up President Xi, not playing games. Meanwhile, Trump has pressed ahead as even some allies in Congress and Wall Street wonder if he's going too far. On Sunday, when asked what level of market fall he would tolerate before changing course, he snapped that it was a stupid question. So is it all a negotiation tactic, as many investors and political hope, or is he playing a longer game aimed at permanently restructuring the global economy and America's place in it? In this new world, whether a country is an ally or an adversary depends on whether that nation is giving the US a good deal. Jesus. On Monday afternoon, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, big up Yeezy, is the first world leader to visit the president since the trade announcement. He tried his hand at playing Trump's new game. He pledged that his nation, which has been slotted for tariffs of 70%, would drop its trade barriers and move to eliminate its trade surplus with the US. Jesus Christ, Israel. Okay, we think it is the right thing to do. I think Israel can serve as a model to many countries that ought to do the same. Okay, I guess. I don't think we want to take your lead on other things there. Free Palestine. Other nations appear to be pursuing a similar strategy in the hopes of the positive result. Japanese Prime Minister Shirigi Ishiba called Trump on Monday morning, prompting Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to state that the US was beginning to negotiations with the nation to implement the president's vision for the new golden age of global trade, which is the end of globalization, really, which is the irony, right? The new age of global trade is the end of globalization. Who would have guessed it? European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Europe was ready to negotiate with the US, offering a mutual reduction on tariffs on industrial goods for zero, a proposal that Trump praised during the remarks of the Oval Office. There were no such gestures from China. On Monday morning, America's top economic competitor announced that it was responding to Trump's 34% tariff increase with an additional 34% of its own. That prompted Trump to threaten another 50% on tariffs to US on China if it does not back down. They're going tariff for tariff. Forget machine for machine. China and US are going tariff for tariff. Whoever the last country standing, that's who fucking wins. China has chosen to isolate itself by retaliating and doubling down on previous negative behavior, Bessent told X. Over 50 countries have responded both openly and positively to Donald Trump's historic action to create a fairer, more prosperous system of global trade. China's reaction to the latest Trump move was equally blunt. The quote, "We have stressed more than once that pressuring or threatening China is not a right way to engage with us," says Chinese embassy spokesperson Liu Pengyu told BBC CBS. China will firmly safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. China is standing on business. China is standing on business. You'd love to see it. Such a series of reactions and reprisals from the China and the US appear to be equal what the investors feared last week, as American stock indexes dropped by double-digit percentages. By Monday, a growing number of choruses of business leaders were speaking out against the Trump's tariff plan, including Wall Street financiers, who had been strong public supporters of the administration, trying, it appeared, to get the president back down by force of will alone. It's not going to happen. Oh, they all fucked around and find out, innit? They thought they could control Trump. They thought they could manipulate Trump, influence Trump. But what Trump shows is that Trump's always going to Trump. Trump is always going to Trump. Just when you think you got him figured out, just when you think you got him by the balls, just when you think you've kind of bought and sold him, he's going to pull the okie doke. That's why people like myself and others are fascinated to find out when exactly he's going to fall out with, what's his face? With Leatherface, with Elon Musk. Because we know it's going to happen. We know there's going to come a point where Trump and Elon are going to fall out. We just don't know when exactly that is. Because Trump is always going to look out for Trump. He's always going to look for his own best interest. He's always going to throw you under the bus at first, at the first opportunity. And just when you think you've got him, by the fucking balls, he's going to prove that, no, I am the boss. And sometimes to, the worst possible way, but he's going to do it. It continues. Meanwhile, US markets were poised to jump up at any reason for hope when a social media post on Monday morning indicated that the president was contemplating a 90-day delay on new tariffs, perhaps drawn from the misinterpretation of comments made by Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassett on Fox News. The US stock index soared. The S&P 500 index added 2.5 trillion to the market value of about 10 minutes, only for it to vanish once the White House quickly denied the president was contemplating such a move. It continued. Trump further closed the door on Monday afternoon, saying that he was not looking at any kind of delay. It was still a full speed ahead on the tariffs. The quote, "We are going to have one shot at this," he said. Perhaps the most concerning message for investors and foreign leaders hoping for a last-minute reprieve and an exit ramp for stability came from one of Trump's top trade advisors, Peter Navarro. The quote, "This is not a negotiation. President Trump is willing to listen, but to those world leaders who, after decades of cheating, are suddenly offering to lower tariffs, no, that's just the beginning." Why are they being so combative? Why are they being so confrontational? Why are they being so argumentative about this? Like, why? Why are they making it seem like it's always going to be a fight? Why can't it be some sort of a negotiation? Why can't it be a dance, right? Why does it have to be some, swords at dawn situation, Come on, bro. So if this is about the start of a broader systemic change, what is desired end goal? One theory is that Trump has a plan with several of his top advisors called the Mar-a-Lago Accord, and it's called is the ultimate goal of compelling America's trade partners to weaken the US dollar on the international currency exchange. Such a move would make American exports affordable to foreign markets and diminish the value of China's large reserves of the US currency. That's a plan pushed by Trump's economic advisor, Stephen Miram, although he has denied that it's the current administration's policy. That's just one of the possible explanations for the current stock market mayhem, and one that many prominent economists warn is risky. It is far from the only one. Ever since Trump shocked the world with a sweeping tariff plan, White House officials have fanned out across the media to preach patience and offer a selection of sometimes contradictory explanations. He is doing it to raise revenue and protect American industries, or as a negotiation tool. The tariffs are permanent, or they are temporary. They will prompt individual deals with other nations or compel some grand multilateral agreement. As Trump pressed on Wednesday tariff cliff, with no signs of backing away, he seems willing to keep the world guessing. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to end up happening? I'm curious to see how it's going to pan out, but I'm just fascinated to see, will this new world, will this post-globalization world, in this new post-globalization world, where these jobs come back to the States, they come back to Europe, will people actually be willing to work these menial, repetitive, somewhat depressing jobs? The jobs that everybody complained about, making iPhones, cases, key rings, rubber fucking gloves. Will people be happy to make them? because those would be the only jobs that you'll be able to get? Or are we better off living in a society where universal basic income is the way to go forward? I don't really know. Let me read some of your comments here. Apologies for ignoring some of you guys in the stream chat. Big up the stream chappers. I appreciate you. Let's see. Wade Harris says it's going to drive up the wages. I'm in a fairly technical maintenance industry and I have recruiters heating me up all the time. I'm glad no one wants to do my job. Oh, really? That's nice. But it depends on what sector you work in, Wade Harris. You probably work in a sector, you probably have a role, a job that's in demand. People like myself, I've got a lot of experience in marketing, in social media, right? Which are nonsense jobs, right? And let me tell you, it's not good out there. It's tough. Even customer service jobs online are fucking hard to get. Literally near on impossible. There are so little available, and the ones that are available, I feel like bare people with way more experience than I am are getting them, which makes sense, right? Because a lot of those people are getting made redundant, and then they're going and working jobs like a little bit below what their actual experience is just to get the job. So obviously they'll take them ahead of me. But yeah, it's bleak out there. It depends on what role you have and what job you have. Big up Keepy. The American product require foreign parts. True. I didn't count that. You're very precise on that one, my friend. Big up Ferilism. Yeah, that'll work because AI is going to cook a lot of jobs. Then receptionist, analyst type jobs are in the wind. That's true, man. Imagine receptionist. That's so true, bro. Even HR, that sort of shit. Good case of Moses. Exactly. American private sector plus good salaries does not compute. Big up case of Moses. Big up Keep. They get way less, but cost of living is way lower. True. Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point in China, right? Because I remember reading. No, I watched a YouTube documentary because I want to go to that city in China really badly. I think it's called Chongping or Chongquang. I forgot the name of it, but it's a building where like it's a city where like all the levels of the buildings are all over the place, and where it looks like it's floor 10, it's actually the ground floor. It's kind of built on the side of a mountain. It looks fucking futuristic and crazy. I really want to go there. And I think I watched a YouTube video where somebody said in like a cool area, a happening area, a popping off area, you could get an apartment there to yourself for like $600. $600. So the cost of living in China must be sweet. But obviously the salaries aren't as good as they are here. The only benefit, I guess, if you lived over there is if you had some sort of like online job, like, you know, I don't know, content creation, whatever it may be, or you had your own business, that might be beneficial. So that you're earning your salary doing whatever you're doing, but then you didn't have to like earn it based on the cap, whatever they have over there. It continues. Big up Young Old Moses. Young Old Moses. Big up Young Old Vibes. The problem is a raggedy apartment with roaches in most cities is 1K a month. No one wants to work hard and be homeless. Oh, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. So I wonder, big up Young Old Vibes. So I wonder if maybe I wonder if maybe the job market will be the way it is just because of like housing. So for instance, maybe universal basic income won't ever get introduced because fundamentally, or maybe people won't even take it up because fundamentally people don't want to live in like cardboard boxes, right? Especially, people just don't want to live in those kind of dilapidated spots, which makes sense. So if that's the case, you're going to have to work some type of job to afford a decent place to live. You're not going to be able to get, or maybe what you could do, universal basic income could be like $1,000, £1,000, which would be a good enough to cover some portion. But then whatever you make on top of it, you'd have to go, whatever you want on top of that, you have to go make it yourself. You'd have to go and get a part-time job or get a job with like, less than full-time hours. Not all the way part-time, but not all the way full-time. That might be a way to kind of mediate that sort of things. Big up Keto Moses. They make literal sense on in markets in China. That's true. Big up on 10 toes. They're reducing the availability of education in hopes that it will be desperate enough to take those jobs. Big up Mr. Mace. UBI can't work, bro. No more disposable money injected into the economy, into the average Joe, just accelerates. Oh, hold on. Let me read that again. Big up Mr. Mace. UBI can't work, bro. More disposable money injected into the economy, into the average Joe, just accelerates inflation and cost of living. More money in circulation equals higher price on everything. Okay. Then how did it work in the past then, Mr. Mace? When everybody seemed to be doing well, like pre-pandemic. How did it work then? Was the cost of living just lower? Like pre-pandemic, things seem to be way more rosy. You know, like I remember I was sorry, I was working a job where I was getting paid £1,000 a month, and that was like it was like an internship role that I was doing. Maybe my first office job. That was pre-pandemic, maybe like 2015 or something. I don't know. No, maybe before that. I don't know. It was one of my first one of my first office jobs, like, you know, making a jump from retail. And I remember I was getting paid £1,000, right, a month. The job was in like, what was it? The job was in like West London. What is it? I think like White City or something. And I'm living in East. So it took me like an hour to travel there on the train. It cost a lot more money on the Central Line to travel there. So I was paying a lot with the monthly card. And I got £1,000 salary, but my rent at that time was like £600. So I was left with £400 for the month. Now, the monthly oyster was super expensive. It probably took half of my money. So I was left with maybe £200 for the month. But I could stretch at £2,000, £200. I could go out, I could drink, I could eat, I could buy my old trainer here and there, you know? Maybe, obviously, I was also reselling back then too, so that probably helped. But I was able to kind of live off of £400 a month, you know, in like that time. So what happened back then was just the cost of living cheaper. Because I felt like everyone had more money then. Even though it wasn't a lot, I felt like people had more disposable income. Nowadays, people don't really have it. I don't know how that works. Again, I don't know nothing about economy or finances, so please be patient with me. Because of Moses, these might be a bigger proverbial dig, exactly. Because Don Dotter, there will be enough employed. Sorry, because Don Dotter, there will be enough unemployed customer service majors to fill those jobs soon enough. Holy shit, that's so depressing and true. Big up Michael Roy. We in the Philippines kiss Trump's ass all the way, but he slapped us with a 17 tariff. Like, what the fuck, bro? Yeah, you have to go there and kiss the ring. You have to go there like Benjamin Netanyahu. You have to go there cap in hand. Maybe that might help. Big up federalism. The market shift will be monumental because of the lack of jobs and kicked off in AI. More women will work in bakeries and factories, maybe even textile shops. Men will be hunting oil and metal factories. Yeah, I've noticed, by the way. Have you guys noticed in my part of London, it's been very obvious to me the increase in, like, for lack of a better term, like young people in McDonald's. Have you guys seen this? Like working behind the tills or working at McDonald's in general. I see less, like, because before I felt like it was really young people and older people, but now you see people in the middle, like people that look like they're maybe 21 to 27 working in McDonald's. And those people look like they probably have degrees or they're currently studying, but that's like a job to have now because the job that they actually want to get, they can't get because it's not available or it's like, you know, oversubscribed and shit. I've seen it a lot. I've noticed it a lot, especially in places like Madrid. Madrid's a good example because Madrid back in the day, I remember, you know, Spanish people are a little bit, you know, bless my Spanish folk, but they have some, you know, they have some warped ideas when it comes to immigrants and shit. So I remember back in the day, it was like seen as less, you were seen as less than if you worked in like a fast food shop. And the only people that worked in fast food restaurants were like, you know, Hispanic people, Latino people who'd come over to Spain, obviously, to set up their life, right? Puerto Ricans, Colombians, whatever else. But I've noticed in the last few years, if you go to Madrid, if you go to parts of Spain, you see a lot of like, you know, native Spanish kids working in those places now. Even in places like Paris, you won't see a lot of immigrants. You see a lot of immigrants, but you won't see a lot of like quintessential, like, you know, you see a lot of white kids working there, which kind of shows you this shift in the economy where these kids are having to do these jobs because the jobs that they want for their career, you know, they're not available anymore. Big up Young God Vibes. Yes, the cost of living was cheaper. My house went from 165 to being, oh, wow. Big up Young God Vibes. My house went from 165k to being worth 330k. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, cool. And also interest rates went from 2% to 7%. All right. Fucking hell, man. Well, I guess Trump is trying. Whether this is going to work or not, I don't know. It's probably not likely it's going to work. But I guess he's trying to do something. So let's see how it goes for him. And then I guess we'll kind of take it as it goes, isn't it? But I'm curious to see how it will go. I'm really curious to see how it will go because so far people are not happy, man. People are not fucking happy so far. That is the truth of it. People are not freaking happy. Okay, moving on. I also wanted to briefly touch upon this video, courtesy of Sneaker Fetish. Big up him. Big up Sneaker Fetish, aka Carrie, who breaks down how the tariffs will affect the sneaker industry. Again, I'm not too clued up when it comes to finances or the economy and shit, but this guy seems to know what he's talking about, and he's also a great follow when it comes to all things sneaker industry related. So big up Carrie, big up Sneaker Fetish. Check him out on Twitter. This is his video taking a deeper look at Trump's tariffs and the effect it will have on the sneaker industry. Let's go, Carrie.
If you've been hearing the word tariff lately and don't really know what's going on, but are afraid that your Jordan 1s are about to cost $300 retail price, you've come to the right video. So first of all, what exactly is a tariff? It's nothing more than a duty or a tax. It's just extra money that gets added on to any good that we may purchase from another country or another country purchases from us. If you're a country like the United States that buys a lot more from other countries than you sell to other countries, that creates what's known as a trade deficit. Now, a few years ago, tariffs were raised over in China, between China and the United States, which shifted a lot of footwear and apparel companies to move a lot of their manufacturing operations to other countries such as Vietnam. You may not have realized this, but Nike was one of the largest companies who did this, and today over half of Nike's manufacturing of their footwear alone is in Vietnam, not in China. According to the administration, in order to do things like bringing manufacturing jobs back to American soil, in what was known as Liberation Day, President Trump announced retaliatory tariffs against other countries that impose tariffs on the United States, which are around half the amount that, according to President Trump, we are getting taxed on goods. For instance, according to President Trump, we get taxed at around 90% for goods imported from Vietnam. Therefore, in retaliation, we are taxing around 46% back to Vietnam for goods that we provide to them, which is interesting math to say the least, because according to Reuters, the actual tariff on footwear from Vietnam to the United States is somewhere around 13 to 14%. So not quite mathing for me, but that's just me. Now, in addition to these targeted tariffs, Trump is also proposing a flat 10% tariff across everybody pretty much around the world. That also includes tariffs that are going to be imposed in parts of the world where people don't even inhabit, just animals, which is a choice. Naturally, this has sparked a lot of controversy and worry and panic, not just at the consumer level, but on Wall Street as well. You're seeing stocks drop left and right, as if Nike wasn't already getting beat down enough by Wall Street. They're actually down even more on the news of these tariffs. To date, I believe Nike is somewhere around 65 to 67% down on their stock from their peak in 2021, which is wild. Media outlets like Nice Kicks and Footwear News have already laid out what this could potentially look like if these tariffs do go into place. They're not quite in place yet. I'm going to stick a pin in that and get to that in a second, but places like Footwear News have reported that the prices of Nike Air Force Ones could go as high as $129. The Jordan 1s could go as high as $202, up from the $180 price point they currently.
Hey yo, big up Izanella. Japan to Vietnam, neighbors. Oh, AZ. Like the UK and Turkey are neighbors? Brother, you know what I mean. You know what I fucking mean. It's in like the Southeast Asia region. Like, come on. I don't mean like it's literally like the next door, but they're technically neighbors. They're in the same fucking... They're closer to each other than the fucking UK is to fucking Japan, aren't they? Like, what? He's trying to make out as if I'm like one of those American girls on the beach where they ask them, hey, what's the capital of Paris? You know, like, I'm not one of those people, please. Don't do that, man. Don't do that to me. The UK and Turkey are neighbors. Fair point. Touche, right? Touche. But you get what I was generally trying to say. Come on.
We are. Now, I understand that makes a lot of people really concerned, but I want to try to soften this blow as much as I can. I don't really think that these tariffs and the price hikes are actually going to happen. Here's why. First of all, keeping these tariffs in place and kicking off a global trade war would not only be devastating across the entire world for all economies, but it would also be a really nasty mark for a president who's claiming that he wants to come back for a third term. Those of you who voted for Trump, I can't really see you voting for him a third term in the event something like this happens and it continues and all of the prices of all of your sneakers go up tremendously.
That's a good point, isn't it? That's a really good point. But I don't know, but Trump people are like, maybe now I've seen a lot of Trump people backtracking because it's hurting their pockets. But a lot of Trump people make excuses for even the dumbest things he does. So even if it works to kind of hurt them, like there's that guy going viral now at the moment who's basically telling people, oh, losing money isn't that big of a deal. losing money is temporary. Who gives a fuck or something like that? He's trying to cope, right? And make, and try to kind of soothe himself from his fucking stock portfolio going down. But I think for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the tribal nature of politics, because to be fair, people that love Biden also do that. But I think people who are staunch Trumpers and MAGA people, they're probably going to make excuses and be okay with the tariffs going up, even if it means it's, negatively impacting them and their pocket. And if Trump did want to go for a third term, they'd vote for him anyway, It wouldn't really impact them. I don't know. I have a feeling it wouldn't really have the impact people think it would. Whenever you think you got it sussed out when it comes to politics nowadays, you should always question your beliefs. Always question your beliefs, because whenever you think you have it sussed out and you can kind of predict how people are going to act and behave, they always do the opposite nowadays. They always do the opposite because of the tribal nature of politics and the way everything is so, argumentative and whatever else it is. People tend to do things and say things just to piss off the other side. Not because they even believe in them, Not because they even have any conviction behind it. Just because you're trying to tell them what to do, they're like, okay, cool. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do the opposite just to spite you, So that could be the case. But I could be wrong.
I don't see it happen. However, one thing we do know is that President Trump and the United States likes to negotiate on things like this. And sometimes putting a little pressure on things can kick off negotiations, and that tactic is already working. Vietnam's trade ministry has already announced that they are willing to negotiate to try to lower these tariffs and get rid of these retaliatory tariffs with the United States. They've even gone so far as to offer peace offerings, which is lowering tariffs in other areas and allowing Starlink internet service to enter into Vietnam for the first time.
Wow.
Plan, and up to 600,000 users allowed. So they're not only being nice to Trump, they're also being nice to Elon. Even today, as I'm recording this, China just announced an additional 34% retaliatory tariff on their own on the United States. However, that doesn't go into effect for a few more days. And they've also made a statement that they would like to handle this through negotiations and through some rational conversations amongst one another. They don't really want to do this if they don't have to. However, if their hand is forced, they're prepared to go through with it. Also, we have to keep in mind that even if these tariffs were to go into effect, it would go into effect for product that is not yet in the States. Remember, Nike works on around an 18-month lead time when it comes to product design, development, manufacturing, and import into the country. So I wouldn't really worry too much about what's sitting on Nike right now automatically jumping up in price. I would worry if this is still happening 6 to 12 to 18 months from now. And if that happens, what the price hikes of those future products may look like that are coming in. But yet again, I don't personally see that happening because it looks like a lot of these countries are already ready to deal. So I wouldn't panic too much if I were you guys, and I certainly wouldn't panic as much as Wall Street seems to be doing so. Again, I'm making a very broad overview. I know that micro and macroeconomics are a very large subject, and we could be here talking about this all day long. But in the meantime, I would like to know what you guys think about Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, he's right, man. He's bang on. He's bang on. Maybe the hysteria is a little bit overcooked, but I also think a lot of people that are speaking, who are panicking, are also experts themselves, who have a lot of skin in the game, They have a lot of skin in the game. So if they're panicking, if they're really worried, if they're sounding the alarm, there's probably a reason for it, And America just had an issue recently with the fucking prices of eggs going up. So life is just going up. The cost of living just keeps going upwards. And then Trump is implementing these tariffs. You're just like, God damn it. You can't catch a break, innit? You can't catch a break. So probably somewhere in the middle. But either way, really good observation, analysis, overview when it comes to what's going on and how it's affecting the sneaker industry. So I recommend you check out Carrie. Follow him. It's all one word, Sneaker Fetish. I'll put his link to his profile in the description so you can check it out. Big up Sneaker Fetish. Big up Blood Clot Sneaker Fetish.